Yo, buddy! The movie reviews are here. Welcome back to the channel, guys. And today we'll be reviewing two films, and this will be a new occurrence on this channel, an epic movie mashup review. Two reviews for the price of one video. So we will be reviewing Brightburn and Hobbs and Shaw. So, without further ado, let's begin. So Brightburn. This film for me personally was a mixed bag of things, and I gotta be truthfully honest with you guys. I felt like this film, it has its good moments, but I have to be truthfully honest with you. It kind of just felt like it was a marketing ploy to reach out to a demographic of people that enjoy, R-rated comic book adaptations. This is a story, an adaptation of what would happen, quote unquote, if Superman if he turned evil, what would happen, what would be the repercussions to society. Now, in context, it's a very good idea, but in terms of how the film delivered itself, I don't personally think it all in all, to me, it's just mediocre in a sense of, not mediocre in the sense of the set pieces and the actual action scenes themselves. They are grotesque. They are exuberant. They are all the things that you would want from an R-rated flick. Now, in terms of the antagonist that thinks he's a protagonist, the main villain of the story, who's Brandon. Now, his story, and I think you're going to see a lot of recurrence in these two reviews, is that, especially with Brandon as a character, he's a character that suffers from third-person syndrome. And this is a catchphrase that I like to use when a villain is not written very well, in my own opinion. Now, his motives and as to why he wants to do what he does, I don't think anyone really understands, other than the point that being that there is a shed, and the shed is, in some way altering his perspective on the world that he lives in. And it just doesn't, I don't feel like there's enough meat and potatoes for me to go, you know what, I can root with that guy, even though it's a callous decision to want to kill the entire human race. It just somewhat, to me, feels like a little bit like a parody, like there isn't really a first person narrative with him. We don't really understand as to why he really wants to do what he wants to do. Like, I don't feel like an audience can really empathize with him for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. There was no moment like that in the film whatsoever. So when he goes and does all the callous and crazy things that he does within the film, you're just sitting there, you're just watching it. There's no real attachment to his character. But I feel like, in a sense, that was okay for him. But I think where the film really does drop is the whole character arc with the mother. The mother, it's really annoying. And again, her story is told with a third-person narrative that really does jar me to the bone. Listen, I'll keep saying the third person does not work with main characters. It does not work with your protagonist. It doesn't work with the antagonist, and it will never will. I guarantee you guys, you go look at the top 10 films in history, they've all got first person narratives. With the story being told, we are there with them on that journey. We see them go through it. And the film just alludes to the idea that she she can't have kids, and she keeps saying it to her husband, and it just kind of comes out of general conversation. To me, it's a whole different aspect and a whole different feeling if we see. So we, as an audience, if we actually see her go on the journey, because I don't know how hard it was for her, and I'm presumably thinking if a woman has to go through the process of wanting kids but she can't, that's a very daunting thing, and I want to see a character go through that, and it then all has prosperity, and it all kind of then makes sense if she's shrouding and keeping her son at bay from the world and not telling him what he is, because I get it. People hate what they don't understand, and then I'd understand. If I've seen the journey and I've seen how she then, she's gone through all these trying with her husband, and then all of a sudden, they've been doing it for how many years. If we see that journey, the short little montage, then the audience will feel like they can root for them and have that level of empathy and kind of reason with it as to why she doesn't want society to know what her kid really is. And that, for me, would have put a nice little bow over the top of the film. But yeah, she gives a good acting performance, but in the sense of how she's written, it doesn't work for me. The husband, he is just there. He's just a tomato tin can, really, to carry on the plot of the story. There is no weight to him. He's just kind of somewhat of a likable character that is in the story, and that's it. And again, again, I didn't know how seriously they were taking this film, because the conversations that, okay, there's a certain conversation that he has with Brandon about the birds and the bees, and it's probably the worst pep talk I've ever seen from any parent to talk to their kid. It didn't make any sense. But look, all in all, set pieces, the action, especially the third act, it works. And I don't necessarily know if that was maybe because they didn't have the budget to explore more with story. Sometimes that also is a factor that plays into. But look, but with Brightburn, I would give this film a 6 out of 10. It's still a good time. It's a guilty pleasure. But yeah, guys, now moving on to Hobbs and Shaw. Look, guys, I have to give it to Dwayne Johnson, and I have to give it to Jason Statham, actually, because they invested themselves a little bit more into this story, just a little bit. Both of their characters, I think, in all the other Fast and Furious films, we always kind of saw them as one-dimensional. We just saw them doing just one thing opposed to something else. And in Hobbs and Shaw, believe it or not, they become multi-dimensional. To learn more about their lives. We learn that Dwayne Johnson has another adherence in her life. So that was good to see, and that was good to see unfold on screen. But one thing, and so this is where the film kind of dwindles, is the fact that his backstory as to where he is in his life. When I heard it came near the third act of the story, I really, really wanted to see that story told in first person, because I felt that was a story that mattered. And what I did understand was Jason Statham character. He's always come across as somewhat the anti-hero. In Fast 7, he was the villain, wasn't he? And he was obviously known for killing Han. And his story gets told in first person. I'm thinking, wait, hold on a second. That's not how you do it. It should have been done the other way around. It should have been done with Dwayne Johnson's story being told first person, and if anything, Jason Statham being the third person narrative. So I didn't understand that in my head because, you know, to me, Dwayne Johnson, let's be honest, he is the paper boy of these Fast and Furious franchises. And I couldn't believe that they were willing to drop his story for Jason Statham's character. Like, that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And look, yes, are they likable characters? The scenes are funny. They've got quippy catchphrases. They're constantly having banter thrown across from each other back and forth. It is fun to watch and fun to watch it unfold on the screen. Now, how long can you spend hating someone? And this is why it's so out of left field. You cannot hate someone, especially after one of the action set pieces in the film, and then they go on the plane. I'm thinking, yo, like, you lot done bits, like, you know, you done a good job. Like, why are we now here having an argument? It just felt like it wasn't needed. If anything, it should have been like a sentimental moment of just like, you know what, man, you are an arsehole, but what you did today was, you know, that was brave. Like, I don't know, just say something sentimental. Like, I don't believe that you could hate somebody for that long. And look, I understand that is the crux of the relationship between Hobbs and Shaw, but it's so far-fetched sometimes that I find it hard to believe. Vanessa Kirby does a good job. She, you know, she does what she was required to do. Now Idris Elba, my God, again, third person syndrome. Just, you know, and the whole reason as to why he's doing all the callous things he's doing in the film is because he is scared. When I heard that, I was like, yo, come on, like, come on, man, like, you're taking the mickey out of film now for doing that. Like, look, listen, I know that all these actors are solidified, and I know they've all gone through their harmonious careers, but to have a backstory like that, like, I'm scared, and then what, leaving it down to statistics, that's shit. Come on, guys, it's shit. You can't do that, you know. But hey, look, these blockbusters, they don't want to give a protagonist for some reason a first person story, and they definitely don't want to do the same thing with a villain. But look, the proof is in the pudding. We're gonna get a first person story with the Joker movie. We got a first person story with Thanos. We got a first person with Killmonger. We got first person with Baron Zemo. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, all those films, they all went over $1 billion. So there you go. So yeah, I would give Hobbs and Shaw a 6 out of 10. You know, it's somewhat of a thing of that Brightburn has a very underwritten protagonist, and Hobbs and Shaw have a very underwritten and antagonist. And there you have it. Those are really the meat and potatoes, guys. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, or if you have not subscribed, you all know where that subscribe button is. Subscribe, because there will be more movie reviews, more TV show reviews, and tribute reactions, all that fun jazz. You can find all the other fun stuff. I'll put an annotation box here to one of my other videos as well. But as always, thank you for your continued support. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.